Thank you for sharing that personal story with me.
I don't usually do that, so
Thank
you
you.
caught me in a good spot.
Thank you.
Ese no es mi trabajo.
No, pero ¿no te da curiosidad?
Bueno, es la CIA. Debo confiar en que siempre harán lo correcto.
You have portrayed inspirational characters and unexpected heroes, like Freddie Mercury, like Elliot in Mr. Robot. My personal favorite, Nate in Short Term 12, one of my favorite movies ever. And now Charlie in El Amateur. And I wanted to ask you, what have you learned about finding inspiration in yourself for others?
I think that comes from my upbringing, is appreciating what my mom had to do coming to America. I'm a twin. She had my older sister to take care of, 2 babies in her belly, and she was taking 3 buses to get to work every day. So that was an inspiration for me that people are just capable of doing anything to look after one another and to make sure that not only they survive and flourish. So I look at my mom as an underdog. That's an inspiration. And then I also look at characters who perhaps exemplify that. And Nate in Short Term 12 is one of them, and very much Charlie in this film is another. So I don't know about legacy, but perhaps I can look back and say those were people who went against certain odds to do something for others. I don't know. Maybe that's the case.
Thank you for sharing that personal story with me.
I don't usually do that, so
Thank
you
you.
caught me in a good spot.
Thank you. In this movie, you worked with Laurence Fishburne, and you mentioned something that was very interesting, that when you work with him, he is that kind of person that's going to fill you with confidence. But also, if you are doing a bad job, maybe on screen, on a scene, he's going to tell you. There was one moment or two maybe or more in this movie where you surprised him. So I want to ask you, what did you do? What happened there?
I remember working on a film called The Little Things with Denzel Washington, and I kept asking for another take, and he looked at me. And Denzel's the type of person who will sit there and he gives you everything, right? There are actors you work with who are just like, all right, enough is enough, I'm out. But he'll sit there and wait. But after a while, Denzel was like, what are you trying to do that you're not getting? And it forces you to really think about it. And Laurence has a similar ability, if not, a very special ability to just look you in the eye, and without saying much, he's reaching deep inside your soul and saying, give me more, or perhaps pull something back, or be present. I think when you're working with a great actor like that, you try to do this all the time, is be as present as possible. But when you're working with the best of the best, you can't help but try to be as honest as humanly possible. That's what we do, but Laurence does that in spades.
Talking about this movie and talking about No Time to Die, for example, you have had the chance to be a villain, but also a hero. And in terms of your characters, you are very connected with being a hacker, right? So what can you tell me about those two experiences that you're bringing now to this new movie? Because now you have the vision of portraying those characters and bringing this to this new espionage action thriller movie.
Well, that was one of the reasons I wanted to do this film in the first place. I loved working on Mr. Robot. I never wanted it to stop, but all good things must come to an end. I thought, how do I continue a character like that who's an introvert? Not the same person, of course. I mean, one's a cyberpunk and one's a guy who has a quote-unquote regular job, and he's married to a woman who you would think, how is he capable of finding someone that special that is his soulmate? But that relationship to me is what grounded everything in terms of allowing me to understand that just because you have this job that people kind of perhaps consider nerdy or geeky, or you can kind of pigeonhole them, they're still capable of having great relationships and doing extraordinary things. So I like to continue that type of storytelling where you get the most unexpected people doing the most extraordinary things and defying expectation.
Thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. That was too short.
I know.